So you know how after you've had a few drinks, and I mean alcoholic drinks, you start feeling and acting different. Maybe you're normally shy, but now you're singing karaoke at the top of your lungs, or you are arguing with somebody about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. What if I told you that as you're listening to my voice now, something just as powerful is happening in your brain right now? Something is altering the way you perceive reality, just like those drinks would. Your thoughts, the things you tell yourself, they're spiking your brain and your body with chemical cocktails all day long, and you don't even know it. So the difference between people that get hijacked by these emotional cocktails and those who stay balanced is not willpower and it's not personality. It's understanding what's really happening in your brain. And in this video, we're going to talk about how your thoughts are changing your brain chemistry, which then goes on to affect how you feel and act and experience the world around you. The same way alcohol alters your state of mind. But most importantly, we're going to talk about how to finally take control. Now, virtually every thought you have, every thought we have, triggers some kind of chemical reaction in the brain. And when we think, neurons, which are like little messengers in the brain, they communicate with each other and they release neurotransmitters or hormones that enters your bloodstream and then travels throughout your body. Now, different types of thoughts, of course, trigger the release of different chemical reactions, or we can call them chemical cocktails. The intensity or the strength of these chemical reactions happening in your brain depends on things like how intense that thought is. So if you are angry, are you just slightly annoyed, or are you really angry? So your thoughts trigger a chemical reaction in your brain that sends signals to your body. And when your body receives these chemicals, it responds by creating physical feelings, emotions that perfectly match whatever you were thinking about. So when your brain notices how you're feeling, when it sees how you're feeling, it reminds you of more thoughts that are similar to the current thoughts you're having, which then triggers the release of more chemicals, and the cycle just continues with each thought and feeling feeding into the next. So you can see that the brain is like a bartender that is always on duty and never closes, unlike the bartender at your local pub that closes by 2. This bartender is working around the clock, and it is mixing and creating some pretty wild combinations, chemical cocktails based on whatever you are thinking. And just like actual cocktails, these thought cocktails can make you act out. It can affect the way you perceive reality. But because we don't know this, most of us never stop to think about the fact that we're just entertaining every thought that presents itself in our heads. So what this means is that we're always accepting every emotional cocktail that this bartender serves without even checking what's in the glass. We're not checking. So we just keep thinking the same thoughts, and drinking whatever emotional cocktail gets served. So let's see some examples of chemical cocktails or signature cocktails that our brain has been mixing. First up, we have the stress special. This cocktail is a strong mix of cortisol and adrenaline. And after a few sips of this, your heart, it starts racing. Your muscles, they get tense, and you are in full superhero mode. Of course, minus the cape. Have you ever snapped at someone because of work stress? Oh, congratulations. You weren't just having a bad day. No, my friend. You were totally high on the stress special. Next on the menu, we have the joy juice. Ooh! Your bartender brain, it combines the sweetness of dopamine and serotonin and maybe just a splash of oxytocin. This is basically happiness in a glass. When this delightful concoction hits your system, When your body receives it, everything just feels right. You are floating, giving high fives to strangers. And the world now looks like it's been upgraded to HD. It feels brighter. You know that feeling when you get good news and now you're texting everybody you know. You're texting everybody with way too many exclamation points. That's your brain serving up shots of the joy juice on the rocks. On the rocks, my friend. You're drinking the joy juice. Okay, then we have my personal least favorite, the worry whiskey. Ugh. This time, your bartender brain, it just skips the glass altogether and just hands you the entire bottle of overthinking to drink straight from the bottle. And after a few gulps, you're lying awake at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, replaying the slightly awkward conversation you had with your coworker 3 months ago. 3 months ago. And then from there, you are mentally rehearsing conversations that will probably never happen with people that you barely even know. It's the worry whiskey for you. This drink, the worry whiskey, it will give you a hangover while you're still drinking it. Okay, now we're done with, a few drinks on the menu. I want you to picture a friend, your friend, at a party, and your friend is totally tipsy. They're stumbling around and maybe slurring their words a bit. What will you do? What will you do? You probably gently take away their phone before they drunk text their ex, right? You might even say, hey, maybe let's wait until tomorrow before we make any big decisions. But when we're high, on an emotional cocktail or these stress chemicals, we rarely give ourselves the same courtesy. Think about it. Your brain is basically serving you shots after shots of a stress hormone, and you're out there making important decisions. You're having serious conversations. Do you ever stop to think maybe I should sober up before responding to this email? Probably not. And get this, research now shows that those stress chemicals, they can hang around in your body for hours. They can stay elevated in your body for a long period of time. Even like way after the stressful situation is over. This is wild. So this means that you can have a stressful situation. Something stressful can happen this morning, and your body may still be feeling the effects of those chemicals when you wake up tomorrow. That is one long-lasting emotional cocktail. Talk about a hangover. When you're stressed, you're walking around in an altered state. Your prefrontal cortex, the rational decision-making part of your brain, is basically drowned in this stress chemical. You can't think straight. It's like trying to hear somebody whisper in a noisy club. Your rational brain is there, it is there, but you cannot hear it. So if our thoughts are so powerful, think about it, if our thoughts are so powerful that they can change our body chemistry, shouldn't we at least be a bit more careful about which thoughts we allow hang around in our minds? Moving on. Now, the thing about emotional hangovers is that sometimes the emotional hangovers you get from of course, emotional cocktails your brain is mixing, sometimes they hit harder than the real ones, harder than the one you take when the one you get when you take alcohol. Like a regular hangover might give you a headache, and that headache will make you, because of how intense it is, it can make you 12 margaritas forever, which me and you know. It really means, until next weekend, but that's topic for another day. But you see, an emotional hangover, it will make you question your entire career path. It will make you doubt every relationship you have, or even convince you that you are absolutely terrible at something or absolutely terrible at everything. Imagine you are in a meeting and your amazing idea, the one you spent weeks perfecting, it gets shut down by your boss. In front of everybody, it gets shut down. And the whole thing probably lasted, what, 2 minutes? Maybe 2 minutes tops. But your brain is not done with it yet. No, you are shampooing your hair the next morning and having this whole imaginary conversations like, I should have said this, or she shouldn't have said that, or this and that. They didn't listen. And you're getting angry. Your heart is racing just from thinking about it. You're basically reliving the whole thing. And the next day, poor Jamie from accounting asks you where the paper for the printer paper is, and you just snap like a twig. I don't know, okay? And Jamie is standing there the whole time like, whoa, what did I do? What did I do? Well, we know. It's not about Jamie, and it's not about the printer. You're still tipsy from yesterday's emotional cocktail. Or me, for example. I am lying in bed, finally ready to get some well-deserved sleep. And then my brain is like, hey, let's think about that interview we have tomorrow. Let's think about that interview we have tomorrow. Now, let's think about it. And I'm trying to sleep, but my mind is just spinning with, what if you stumble? Well, what if I stumble over my words? What if they ask me that one question? That one question that I haven't prepared for. What if this? What if that? What if the... For hours. Then I wake up the next morning feeling exhausted, but like, nothing has even happened yet. The interview hasn't even happened. That is just an emotional hangover because I've basically spent most of the night taking shots of worry. And now, what am I doing? I'm paying for it. Waking up the next morning with hangover, with headache, and of course, enough self-doubt that makes an actual hangover feel like a walk in the park. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Are you understanding? Let's move on to how we can finally take control of our brain's bar. Now, unlike a real bar, you can actually step behind the counter at your brain's bar and influence what's being served. You can become the bartender, mix your own drinks, decide how you want to feel. Instead of just sitting there and, letting our brains mix up whatever it feels like serving, of course, based on whatever it is you're thinking about. Now, you can step up and intercept these chemical cocktails before they flood your entire system. And to do this, you have to become aware of how you feel. You have to become aware of how you feel because how you feel, the way you feel is your guidance system. And you become conscious of it by choosing which thoughts you allow linger in your mind. Because now you know. Now you understand the brain and body feedback loop. What you want to do is catch it early. You want to catch it early. So imagine something happens and, you have a thought. We all have our usuals, the familiar thought patterns that pop up automatically based on our life experiences and what we're used to. So your brain, being the creator of habits that it is, it loves serving up familiar thought cocktails. So it's always going to suggest what you've had before. So let's say someone interrupts you, and if you typically responded with anger before, your brain will probably try to serve up the same anger tonic again, because that is the cocktail it normally serves whenever that happens. But now that you are paying attention, now that your conscious mind is the bartender, you can decide whether to serve it. That is the angry tonic, I mean. You can decide whether to water it down, or you can even decide to suggest something entirely different. You can change what you're drinking by choosing to react differently or choosing to behave differently. What you're doing is you're now trying to avoid getting high on cocktails of chemicals that are not serving you. The next one is For example, you notice an intense feeling, bubbling up. You can take a moment and ask yourself, wait, Ifoma, wait. What emotional cocktail am I drinking now? I see. It looks like I ordered a double shot of frustration this morning. Just naming it. Just naming it is good. I promise you, it really is. Because like this playful way of noticing your emotions, it can help you create a space between you and what you're actually feeling. Naming it can help you realize that you are in an altered state, and this is a step forward, it's a step towards shifting your emotional state. Like, I know if I start sipping on the 3 a.m. existential crisis vodka, I'm going to be in a mess the next day. The key here is recognizing these patterns before they take over. So when those negative thoughts start to pile in, instead of continuing the thoughts, because that's like, ordering round and round of emotional cocktails, and that will lead to a cycle that is just downhill from there, you get right ahead in front of it. You get right ahead of it. And you say, I think we've had enough. We're switching to water. And water can be anything that just brings you, back to the present moment. So it can be like taking a few deep breaths. It can be texting a friend. It can be just stepping outside for fresh air. Or even from where you are, reaching for whatever thought feels like relief from where you are, from wherever you are right now. And this thing actually works on a biological level, because research now even shows that brief, mindfulness sessions can help shift your brain from emotional reactivity to rational thinking. So it's like your brain literally starts to sober up. So every time you choose to think differently, every time you choose like a more positive response to whatever situation is happening in your life, you, my friend, are rewiring your brain to make these new thought patterns your go-to responses. And this will make it easier to handle similar situations in the future with grace. You will be able to handle similar situations in the future with grace. So listen, we all get emotionally wasted, all right? Drunk or high on our thoughts sometimes. But what is important here is that you are aware of it. So the next time you find yourself getting maybe worked up or angry about something and your heart is starting to risk, ask yourself, do I really want to get wasted on this thought right now? Because even though we can't always control the thoughts that show up at our brain bar, because life is happening, right? We 100% get to decide which ones get served. That is my weird little bartender brain theory. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. You can tell me what your signature emotional drink is. But mine, it used to be the overthinking old-fashioned with a double shot of anxiety bitters. You have no idea. You have no idea. Okay, thank you so much for spending this time with me. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And I really look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.